Elon Musk destroyed Keir Starmer on live TV, and now UK politics is spiralling into chaos. It feels like something out of a dystopian film. Elon Musk has managed to do what no opposition leader or protest movement ever could. He's shaking the foundations of the British government using nothing but his phone. The Prime Minister isn't being challenged in Parliament or by the public vote, but by one man with 200 million followers who decided enough was enough. And unbelievably, it's working. In real time, the government is losing control, and Musk has exposed a new reality. In the digital age, power doesn't belong to institutions. It belongs to influence. If he succeeds, this moment could mark the death of old politics and the birth of something entirely new. The chain reaction began months earlier with a horrific event in Southport, England. On July 29, 2024, 3 children were murdered during a Taylor Swift-themed dance class. The country was horrified, but grief soon turned to anger as misinformation spread online about the attacker's identity. Within days, that anger exploded into riots across multiple cities. The government's response was swift and deeply controversial. In an attempt to regain control, police carried out mass arrests, not just of rioters, but of people who had merely shared posts or commented online. More than 400 people were detained within weeks, roughly 30 arrests a day, for what authorities described as inciting unrest. Among those caught up in the crackdown was Bernice Booth, a 55-year-old woman from Cheshire whose home was raided at dawn for resharing a viral post. No threats, no calls to violence, just a repost. She now faces prison. Another case, Peter Lynch, a 61-year-old grandfather, attended a peaceful protest and was arrested despite committing no crime. He was denied bail and died in custody weeks later. The contrast was chilling. Violent offenders were getting shorter sentences than citizens who expressed opinions online. One convicted child abuser received 18 months in jail. Another man, whose only act was posting the words, "Don't come to Southport" on Facebook, got 20 months. That was the tipping point. Musk saw an opportunity and stepped directly into the chaos. Soviet Britain, he called it, a police state arresting citizens for opinions while real criminals walk free. The government thought they could ignore him. Huge mistake. Musk broadcast every arrest, every outrageous sentence, every official statement to hundreds of millions. Suddenly, Britain's justice system was under the world's microscope. And it didn't look good. Officials panicked, calling him a liar, even discussing whether they could extradite Elon Musk for criticizing them. Yes, the world's richest man nearly arrested for tweets. But then Musk dropped the bomb that shattered everything. Musk reignited a scandal Britain had tried to bury for years, the Rotherham grooming gang crisis. Between 1997 and 2013, more than 1,400 children in a single town were abused, and investigators now believe the true number across the country may exceed 100,000. Children as young as 11 were raped, trafficked, and silenced through threats of violence. The most shocking part wasn't just the crimes, it was the cover-up. Police, social workers, and even local politicians knew what was happening and chose to look away, terrified of being branded racist. And during those critical years, the person overseeing prosecutions across England and Wales was Keir Starmer, then head of the Crown Prosecution Service. Under his leadership, victims were dismissed as unreliable, cases were dropped, and evidence was ignored. Internal memos later revealed officials were aware of the abuse, but advised against action that might appear discriminatory. Then, Musk crossed from commentary into history. In December 2024, he publicly urged King Charles to dissolve Parliament and trigger new elections, something no monarch had done without government approval in almost 2 centuries. "Sometimes democracy needs a reset," he wrote. Within hours, #DissolveParliament was trending worldwide. Ordinary citizens were suddenly debating constitutional law like experts. polls collapsed for Starmer, Reform UK's popularity surged, and even members of the Labour Party began to question whether Musk was right. The government fought back, branding him a foreign agitator, a racist, a megalomaniac. But every attack failed. Musk responded with documents, statistics, and official records, hard evidence that backed up his claims. What began as a political feud has now become something far larger, a global reckoning over power in the digital age. When billionaires control the platforms where nations communicate, who truly governs? Can a country still claim sovereignty when one man's tweet can shift its politics overnight? And in a world where truth spreads faster than censorship, can any leader still silence dissent when the entire planet is watching? Leaders from Berlin to Washington are holding their breath. Because if Elon Musk can destabilize one of the world's oldest democracies, then no government is safe. What we're witnessing isn't politics. It's a revolution without bullets, led by one man and a phone. The old power structures are crumbling. State media, official narratives, controlled information, all powerless when one post can reach 200 million people in seconds. When evidence spreads faster than governments spin. When cover-ups collapse under public scrutiny, everything changes. The British establishment is learning a painful lesson. They can no longer control the story, silence critics, or hide their failures. As 2025 unfolds, the crisis deepens. Each week brings new revelations. Every poll shows Keir Starmer weaker, and the government looks increasingly cornered. This isn't just Musk versus Starmer anymore. It's a global fight over free speech and accountability. It's about whether ordinary citizens can speak without fear of arrest, and whether governments that protect predators while jailing protesters can still claim moral authority. On one side stands a prime minister who oversaw a justice system that ignored abused children and now prosecutes people for their words. On the other, the world's most influential private citizen, armed with a platform that can't be censored and a direct line to the White House. The stakes couldn't be higher. Will the state win with its power to arrest, or will the digital outsider win with his power to expose? The old guard versus the new web. Official control versus crowdsourced truth. And the story is still being written. Peter Lynch died in a jail cell for attending a protest. Thousands of children were failed by the system meant to protect them. Words have become crimes, while violent offenders walk free. This is what happens when governments forget they serve the people, not rule them. But it's also the first time in history when that power can be challenged, not by armies, but by information. The power of exposure, the power of millions watching. Here's the question. Every world leader should be asking. If one billionaire can hold a government accountable with his platform, what happens when millions of citizens do the same with their smartphones? Because that's what's really happening here. Musk is just the loudest signal in a much larger storm. Behind him are millions who are watching, sharing, demanding answers. The megaphone of truth has been democratized. The gatekeepers have lost control. Is this the dawn of digital accountability? Or the rise of a new kind of influence that blurs democracy's boundaries? Are we seeing the birth of a modern check on power, or the beginning of oligarchs ruling by attention? Tell me what you think in the comments below. And if you want the next chapter before the headlines catch up, subscribe. Because the battle for Britain's future, for free speech, and for who really controls power in the digital age, it's not coming. It's happening right now.